Canada. To the rest of the world, it is a sanctuary of politeness, a land of sprawling maple forests and quiet, snow-capped peaks, where peace is the only language spoken. But if you look closer, beneath that pristine white surface, a terrifying sound is echoing through the permafrost. It is the sound of a foundation snapping under unbearable pressure. What the world sees from the outside is a postcard of stability. But that surface hides a far more disturbing reality, where for over 150 years, this nation has been held together by a fragile web of compromises. And today, that web is tearing apart at the seams. The silence of the Great White North is being replaced by a roar of discontent that stretches from the separatist streets of Montreal to the defiant, windswept oil fields of Alberta. And as the seams burst, the real horror has only just begun. You have to ask yourself, how can a country so wealthy, so vast, and so seemingly stable be breaking from the inside out? The answer isn't found in today's headlines. It is buried deep in a history of blood, betrayal, and a fundamental flaw in the nation's very soul, starting on a biting, freezing night in October 1970. The air in Montreal was like ice when a British diplomat's door was kicked in by masked men belonging to the FLQ, a radical cell that didn't want money. They wanted a revolution. He was not alone in his fear, and within days, the terror escalated as another prominent man was snatched from his front lawn while playing football with his family, a moment that paralyzed the heart of the country. This led the Prime Minister to do something no one expected, something that would haunt the nation's legal history forever. He invoked the War Measures Act, turning peaceful, democratic streets into a cold military dictatorship, where tanks rolled past quiet cafes and soldiers with machine guns stood on every corner. Something felt very wrong when the world watched 400 people being arrested without a warrant, held in dark cells without a word to their families. And the tension reached a breaking point when a car was found abandoned in the dead of night with a cold, lifeless body in the trunk. Although the FLQ was eventually crushed by the weight of the law, the seed of division was permanently planted, proving to the world that Canada was not one unified family, but two warring spirits locked in a single room, waiting for the next spark to fly. But the story takes a darker turn as we move to 1995, a year when the nation held its breath for a referendum that threatened to delete Canada from the map entirely. Families were torn apart at the dinner table. Brothers stopped speaking to sisters.
The people of the West feel robbed, watching their hard-earned wealth funnel into a federal system that they believe actively hates them and vilifies their way of life. And now the movement known as Wexit is no longer just a fringe joke. It is a calculated plan for an exit that would leave the rest of the country in total economic darkness. But the real truth is even more chilling. Because even if the political fires were put out, the moral foundation of the country is experiencing a total collapse after the ground literally gave up its secrets in 2021. The discovery of unmarked graves of children beneath former residential schools broke the nation's soul, revealing that the peaceful history of the North was a facade built on the systematic erasure of a people whose trauma is still screaming from the soil. Every time a new site is discovered, the foundation cracks a little more, and the world is forced to realize that the history they were taught was a carefully crafted shadow.
Today, the glittering streets of Toronto and Vancouver look like symbols of success, but the people walking them are drowning in a housing crisis that has turned the middle class into the working poor, forced to choose between heat and food in a land of plenty. As the Canadian dream becomes a luxury that only the elite can afford, the glue of prosperity that held these distant provinces together is beginning to fail, and people are starting to blame the very idea of Canada itself. But here is the twist no one expected. While the provinces fight amongst each other,
external forces are watching from the shadows, and secret intelligence reports suggest these internal divisions are being fueled and amplified by foreign actors who want to see Canada shatter. They want the nation weak because they are waiting to scramble for the trillions of dollars in resources hidden beneath the melting ice of the Arctic. And the people of Canada have no idea they are being played like pieces on a global chessboard. As flags fly at half-mast and the voices of anger grow louder than the national anthem,